So here's another interesting one. It's a Husqvarna all-wheel drive. And the way this one is built is in such a fashion where they have dual transmissions, identical, one on the front, one on the back, and two separate drive belts that run them. This machine is quite a beast, particularly with this Briggs & Stratton 775EX. It's an overhead valve with the giant air cleaner in it, similar to something you'd see in like a riding mower. The carburetor for this one is an auto choke, so you have that linkage that goes across to that thermostatic coil by the exhaust. It works really well. It's not like that crap you find on the Kohlers, and the Honda GCV 160s, and the Honda clones with the vacuum line and all that silliness. The finicky part here is getting all these gaskets. There's a spacer here. There's a gasket in between here. There's a plastic spacer in there. There's a gasket behind that spacer. And there's an O-ring on the face of it that mates with this bracket here. So the person I got this from messed it up really bad. This whole bracket was missing. I guess he took it off and lost it, or I don't know what. The spring was missing. The linkages were all backwards. And they actually cracked the carburetor because they tried to put it back without all this stuff over here. I've never seen or broken one of these in such a fashion, but that's a result of trying to tighten it down without that spacer being in the back. And you can see how this sort of auto choke mechanism works, where the choke is closed, and then as soon as you start it up, it opens. The older style of these had that primer circuit in it, where you'd push the primer bulb and it would shoot a jet of air through a circuit in here, pressurizing the float bowl and shooting fuel up the emulsion tube. These guys here are made by Ruying, and they're all pretty much similar in how they operate. So you have variable speed drive with levers on both sides, and of course the ergonomic handle. Didn't come with a bag, but I found one off a Craftsman, and I just taped off a Craftsman and spray painted it so it doesn't say Craftsman on a Husqvarna machine. This height adjustment system here with these plastic knobs, they always shear right over here, because what you have is a spring inside of here on a shaft, and then this tension clip up here. So what you want to do is really support this whole thing when you're lifting up on here, because oftentimes these aren't lubricated, they seize, and then when you start pulling on this thing, it just snaps clean off. So I replaced two of those, and under here is that dual transmission I was talking about. So you got one there in the front and an identical one there in the back, and two belts that run to each of those respectively. And you can see how they've done that in there. The last thing I want to mention is the gears inside of these wheels are metal. It's not that plastic crap that's inside the race of the wheel, and they always end up wearing out. So there it is. Husqvarna all-wheel drive with a Briggs & Stratton motor.